Hello, welcome to the Philosophy of Sports, where we review hot takes and up-to-date information on everything NFL, NBA, MLB, and college football. I'm your host, Tom Gentile.
Co-host Phil Gentile.
Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and especially our YouTube channel, as it would be a big help to us in maintaining our talk show. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. Now let's get into today's episode, where we are going to be discussing college football action for the first time in our channel's history. And I'm going to say something about the semifinal games real quick. We meant to talk about those a little more extensively, but that got behind us. Those were great games. I thought both of them were really good and really competitive. But that's not what we're going to talk about today, because we're going to talk about whatever happened on Monday night. If you want to, if that wasn't a national championship game, if you want to even consider that a football game at that point, we're going to get right into it. Georgia had over 400 yards of offense more than TCU did. They were averaging almost 9 yards a play. TCU was averaging like 3 yards a play. Georgia had 32 first downs. TCU only had 9. Georgia had 254 rushing yards. TCU only had 36. 36. Okay. And with all of that, I just gotta say, before I hand it over to you, that wasn't a football game.
No, it was an abject failure, and something really needs to change. That was a 3.5 hour waste of time. Everybody in America had it right, and the bowl selection committee had it 100% wrong. You should have had Ohio State and Georgia in different brackets and just let it play out. I mean, the way they had it set up, I can't believe that TCU beat Michigan. B, I believe that Ohio State would have beat either of those teams. And C, we'd have had a lot more competitive championship game. They messed it up, period. I mean, and it's like they were the only ones who didn't know that, who thought this was a good format, the way the seeding went. It was just horrible.
It was really stupid, considering that TCU stayed at the number 3 seed despite their loss in the conference championship to Kansas State. I think they should have stayed. I think they should have stayed in it and been the 4 seed and then get their real test against Georgia. I mean, then they would have never have proven that they could hang in there with a team like Michigan. But with how much of a steaming hot dump that they dropped in LA on Monday night, it was Michigan even really that good? I mean,
well, you don't know, because Michigan goes undefeated, beats Ohio State like a drum. Then
but Ohio State played like shit that day. I mean, their secondary was atrocious.
And then Ohio State comes and almost steals one from Georgia. Then Georgia hit a lick on TCU. I mean, that they're not going to recover from. Hats off to TCU for a great season. They overplayed. They were great. I don't think they belonged in the top 4. I mean, I think Alabama would slap them down like nobody's business. I think Alabama would do the same thing Georgia did. I think LSU would do the same thing Georgia did. Just
keep going. I mean, I think Ole Miss would have beat TCU. Maybe even Arkansas would have beat TCU, probably, or something like that.
Possibly.
Okay,
they won a few tough games, but they did not belong in the Final Four. But it's okay to put them there, but it's not okay the way it shook out, because it really robbed everybody of a big championship Monday night. And that's what everybody was looking forward to. I thought, maybe we're on to something here. Maybe this is the upset of the ages. And it was upsetting, all right. It was really upsetting. Okay. They didn't belong in the same field.
So I got a new TV so that I don't have to watch any of this on my phone. And I watched this football game. I just didn't I didn't understand what that even was. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. It's right in front of me, 65-7. And what would have happened if Georgia actually tried? Because it didn't even look like they actually tried. I mean, what would it have been? I mean, it could have been 80, a field goal and 11 touchdowns. It easily could have been 80. I
Yeah,
mean, think
I
about
think
that.
they tapped the
80.
brakes a little bit and took it easy on them. And but they're not the same caliber of football teams, and everybody knows that. And I hats off for trying to make it interesting. Everybody hates Alabama. You either love Alabama or you hate Alabama. And most people hate Alabama because they don't love Alabama. But Alabama belongs.
They did. I don't know how you
They
slice
can
it.
reconcile that, a 3-loss Alabama team, but you can reconcile it now. I mean, the way they played in their bowl game, the way TCU played in the championship. Yeah, not close. I know
Well,
they're going to expand the format. Is that next year or the year after?
the year after next. And that cannot come quicker with whatever we saw here, because I like what they're trying to do with this, with the smaller tier schools, getting a fighting chance, for rewarding them for an outstanding season like Cincinnati this past year,
Yeah,
TCU this year, and stuff like that. Well, here's something is that they just don't belong in the top four. Put them, which is why they need to expand to give these schools a chance. Because honestly, if you just leave it at 4 seeds, you're
you're going to leave out a few undefeated teams.
well, no, it's not. I mean, it's not undefeated. It's not undefeated teams. It's not undefeated teams. It's just if you put these smaller schools in, you're robbing a big school of a chance to compete for a title with a team that isn't going to win the title. And
Right.
then you're,
But
and
like
then
TCU is undefeated. Cincinnati was undefeated. South Florida,
TCU wasn't even undefeated.
Central Florida. But I mean, they had the one loss. But you have these schools from smaller programs that are still in the bowl championship series, and they do occasionally go undefeated, and they're like, why not me? That's why not me. That is why not me.
Well, I mean, it's just the same thing, when UCF, everybody in Orlando was going, we want Bama, we want Bama. No, you don't. You
No,
don't.
no, they will
I mean,
slap you down like yesterday's garbage.
yeah, I mean,
What was that
listen,
on Monday night? What was it? I mean, what is that? How can you put that garbage on there? I mean, how could they feel just the bowl committee? How do they feel the next day knowing they got the lowest ratings of all time? Nobody enjoyed it. The outcome was decided in the first quarter. Everybody else turned it off. I mean, that is a tragedy of epic proportions.
you
I
know what
mean,
it
that
was?
should be your Super Bowl, and it turned out to be your super dud.
You know what it was? It was a disgrace to college football,
It was. You're exactly right.
is what it was. I mean, you can't do something like that. And the fact that the game was in LA as well, like, you can't do that. I
I don't know
mean,
if LA should be hosting any college football. I mean, they don't show up.
the
They
city
don't
of
show
Los
up for the
Angeles, the
teams.
city of Los Angeles doesn't deserve to host another thing in its history. Okay? I mean, and I'm being serious to the point. Move the Rams back to St. Louis and move the Chargers back to San Diego. Then maybe you'll sell out games. Then maybe you'll do that.
They
Huh?
have never sold out
They
for USC or
they
U.
don't care. They don't care out there. They're too big. I mean, they're too busy drinking their chai lattes and avoiding earthquakes out there. They don't care about football. They don't care
They're
about
not.
sports, and they don't care about sports in general. I bet if you slapped the Olympics there right now, still nobody would show up. Nobody would show up.
It's not a good venue. But I tell you what, I will give their fans some credit. They sure did come out to the Cotton Bowl and watch that spectacle. Not that we want to get off on that, but since we both happened to be there, was that
We
game
did happen to both be there at the Cotton
awesome?
Bowl. That was an amazing game.
Awesome.
I love that game.
Green wave all the
That
way.
was a great game. That was a
So
great game.
that is one of those. Does Tulane or USC belong in the Final Four? No. But that is one of those small school teams, though, that were just on a tear. I mean, so they beat them legit straight up. I mean, they're better than their record. They're better than their final seeding. I mean, they're a really good squad.
Yeah, I mean,
they had it going on that day. But it was fun to watch all the red get sad at Jerry World.
Yeah, I mean, Tulane had themselves a squad this year. And as y'all can tell, I go to Louisiana Tech. We've already lost a couple of people in the transfer portal to Tulane. They're
Who
just
wouldn't want to go there?
They're just going down. I mean, shit. You know?
We also lost. It's a feel good story.
We also lost our best receiver and our best quarterback to the transfer portal as well. But hey, we got Louisiana's first Buckies.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
You can go spend what money we don't have there.
Maybe I can get a job there. You know,
they pay well.
They do pay well. They do. Yeah. I mean,
anyway, back to the subject at hand. Something has to happen with the committee next year. I mean, there has to be input from other football people. I know you're trying to appease everybody. I know you want to make the small schools still feel like they have a stake in the game. Expand it. I mean, I would expand it next year to what, 10, 14 teams? And
it'd be the current plan is 12. So the top 4 teams, they get a bye. And then the 5 plays the 12, the 6 plays the 11, and then down.
Let them get punched out individually so they know what they need to work on. And then they don't ruin our championship and semi-championship weekend. You know?
Well, that's another thing. I mean, the semi-championship games have been such shit these past few years.
This one wasn't.
This one was not. So, and I mean, okay.
And Ohio State had their foot on Georgia's throat.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But I mean, you know, when I saw this matchup, I thought Georgia's going to win this game, but they're not going to just, you know, they barely scooted by Missouri. They barely scooted by Kent State. So you're maybe thinking, what if they get caught off guard? And what if this is a little bit of a game, you know? Was not the case.
I think that's what everybody thought. And honestly, after the way TCU took apart Michigan, which regardless of the final score, they manhandled the line of scrimmage on every single play, every down. They manhandled Michigan. And I thought maybe they do have a chance, but they don't. And this shows what you need to do to make things right in the world. Put the real ones there. Put the teams with 5 stars. Okay, against the team with 5 stars, but expand the format so everybody gets to play. And if you belong there, guess what? You'll make it.
No, I mean, if you belong there, then you get in. Listen, if a school like TCU, Cincinnati, UCF, if they belong there, they're going to get in as a lower seed. And if they truly belong there, then they're going to get in. And they're going to win a couple of games in the rounds. That's what's going to happen. They're going to win.
If you're that good, you'll win out and get into the finals maybe. But you need to earn it. I think TCU losing their last game did not earn it. I think Ohio State just blew it with Michigan. I think if Ohio State would have played Michigan somehow on chance, they would have blown them out this time. I mean, because
Michigan. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it was just TCU just getting really amped up or if it was
Michigan was asleep.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
because they sure played like they were asleep. They got their asses whooped with a 3-man defensive line. I mean, the premier offensive line in college football got their asses whipped by 3 dudes from TCU. They didn't blitz. They didn't have to.
But I mean, then again, life comes full circle. I mean, again, if you only get 36 yards rushing in a game,
You're not going to win.
I mean, which is what happened with TCU and the Natty, if you want to even call it that.
Yeah, I don't.
If, I mean, you don't, 1.3 yards per carry. It's
Okay. So if
laughable.
you run it 4 times, you get half of a first down.
It,
Yeah.
oh my God. I can't wrap my head.
Honestly, I'm telling you, I believe this with my soul. Georgia could have trotted out their scout team and beat TCU.
You know what? I'm just gonna go out there and say this. Yes, this is not a good take, but it's a hot take. Georgia could have replaced the Atlanta Falcons and been competitive in the NFC South.
Definitely. Definitely. I mean, in TCU, like I say, they earned the right to be way high. But if you put the seating right, and you had Ohio State, TCU, and Georgia, Michigan, say, and then Ohio State. I mean, well, however you want to do it, where they're in different brackets, because there's one was definitely the better team. I mean, the both of them are definitely better than the other two and anyone else in college.
I don't. I mean, I don't really know but this should be a wake up. This needs to be a wake up call.
Yeah, it's a black eye
to,
on that.
to the committee. I mean, this hurts. This destroys reputations. I
And this
mean,
is it. I mean, the college football season is over, and you wrapped it up in the shittiest possible way with the worst possible game.
Honestly, I mean, what was the largest margin of victory in the entire college football season? FBS, FCS, all
I
that. What
don't
was the
know that,
largest
but I
margin of
know this
victory?
was
Because
the
I
biggest full victory margin.
no, like in the entire season, in this entire season, was this the worst point differential?
I didn't pay that much attention to it.
Well, I mean, I don't know either, but I mean, it's easily in the top 10. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's just
shit,
you
it's
couldn't be
58
less
points.
competitive.
It's 58 points.
You couldn't be
It's,
less competitive.
I mean,
Fix it.
you fix it. You
Fix
gotta
it.
fix it. Fix it.
Some experts in there. Let the pollsters do it. I mean, because not sure who's on the committee, but they were trying too hard to be all inclusive, which is the thing to do now. I mean, no one say, okay, Alabama's sitting there with 3 losses, you got 1, but realistically, could Alabama whip your ass 7 days a week? Yes, but we're going to take you because we want to give one to you guys, and it didn't work out. And I'm hoping for better next year. I don't want the end to be like this. Just like you wouldn't want to see a Super Bowl like this. I mean, who wants to see that?
Exactly.
You turn it off and then watch the commercials later. I mean, that's no fun. Anyway, it was no fun of a game. Do better. Be better.
One more question though.
Go.
This has made the rounds a little bit on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I see this. People are doing the usual thing. They compare. They have compared this 2022 Georgia squad with 2019's LSU squad. Oh, some people are saying that this Georgia squad was more dominant. I do not believe that. What's your take?
Well, I mean, okay, you got a Hall of Fame quarterback and you got a walk on that has a couple natties with mediocre stats, but he does make clutch throws. Everybody yes. else is roughly the same. I mean, the receivers, they had some receivers at LSU, they have some receivers at Georgia. They got linemen, linebackers, they've got high draft picks, they've got people they're going to play on Sundays. Both of them do. But I mean, I'm going to take Joey F and B every day of the week over Stetson Bennett, who's going to go straight into coaching. Okay, because this is it. I mean, 5'10", 195 pounds, 38-year-old. Okay, is not He's done now, but he did great. I mean, he won two
He did
natties. I
amazing.
mean,
No, I mean,
he had Heisman votes because he only ever lost a couple games in his career, but his stats weren't that.
He's a Georgia hero. I mean, he's getting a statue outside of the stadium in Athens.
He's my hero. He kept Alabama out of it for 2 straight years. And Georgia's favored next year, too. Did you see the look on Saban's face when the commentator?
I did see that. Yeah, I saw that.
Just like, he looked like he got kicked in the nuts. He really did. I mean,
yeah.
You know, I'm not ready to say that, but we'll see. But I don't, that's what I say. Their teams are similar up and down the line. The quarterback, though, is leaps and bounds better. You know, Joey B is, Joey B. And so that team would have beaten this team just because.
I think so. I think so as well.
So put that one to rest.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just people getting in too much over their head. I think they'll realize it, later down the line and whatnot, just when they see how good that LSU team was. Honestly, there's not really much else to say except, I mean, TCU.
Is Max Duggan a senior?
I'm not sure, actually.
Okay, because they're going to be ranked high again next year. Georgia's already ranked number 1. Once again, I think the transfer portal is ruining college football, but that's another episode. I don't know how to fix it, but I do think that kids are lining up, taking the money and running now. And in the short term, that's great, but in the long term, I don't think that gives you a lot of life lessons. And
it also doesn't help with the expansion of the college football playoff either, because your top 12 teams are just going to be the top 12 teams.
Everybody's transferring out, and the very best are going to the top 12 teams, and that's all you're going to have. So these mid-range schools are just going to get worse and worse. People go.
We'll just have to see. Again, that's an episode for another day. TCU, great season, remarkable season, full of memories.
When they got home the other night from LA, that there were like thousands of people waiting to cheer them on when they got here. I mean, how classy is that? I mean, Fort Worth, though, great town. They support their people. They got their asses whipped, and those guys were right there supporting them and cheering them on. They got nothing to be ashamed of.
Of course not. Listen, this is not us railing TCU. This is us
giving
a wake-up call
exactly
to the College Football Playoff Committee, because that gives a whole new meaning to CFP. That was collegiate fucking pathetic.
Bingo. That was. And that's
pathetic.
It was an abject failure on every level to see what was going to happen. And people, hindsight, will say, oh, well, nobody knew TCU might have popped up. No, they might not have. They might have. But they popped up. Their Super Bowl was Michigan. They had nothing left after that. And even if they did play their best game against Georgia, they'd still lose by 40.
And great job. TCU got a Fiesta Bowl win. Again, this is not us railing TCU. This is not us railing on Georgia or even praising Georgia for, winning their natty. This is just what we feel.
Something needs to change.
Something needs to change. Something needs to change in the next few days. I honestly think that the committee should give a formal apology for that, because that was a true waste of time. And I think they need to come out and apologize for that.
Yeah, to borrow a phrase from the movie The Hangover, it's just like they look at each other on Tuesday morning, just go, we fucked up. Okay, hopefully they did that and had an epiphany of how it should go from here on out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when are we getting back on?
Soon. Hopefully very soon. Maybe
Saturday morning.
we
try
need to
drop
we're going to
playoff.
yes, for all of you that are concerned with our video schedules, again, right now we don't really have a definite schedule. But just because our our weeks are both kind of chaotic and things can pop up, so we don't have a definite schedule yet. We will be posting a lot of content within the next few days, within the next week. We should be able to get either our first NBA or MLB video out. A preview of the NFL playoffs is going to come shortly. Just stay tuned for all of that stuff.
Absolutely.
All right. So thank you. As I said, stay tuned, and we will see y'all soon.
We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching.